completely human with a diagnosis that is only a part of who I am.
It's Tuesdays with Tawana. Let's get it. You ready? Let's go. Hey, beloveds. It's Tuesdays with Tawana. Yeah. You ready? Let's go. It is Dr. Tad in the building on this last Tuesday of 2024. I am your host and your curator for Tuesdays with Tawana, where we gather building community one episode at a time. We come together to explore, to be curious, to laugh, to vent, to release, to speak the truth, to talk about current events, to talk about my journey as a part of the collective journey of healing, because healing happens in community, and as Bell Hooks says, healing cannot happen in isolation. So we come together for this moment for about a half an hour or so to chop it up. Hey Jan, yes, elated for you to be here for this last day in 2024, moving into 2025. Yeah, so let's get it popping. Those that are here watching or listening later or watching later for the first time, welcome. Keep coming back. Subscribe to my podcast channel through Spotify or Apple, hashtag Tuesdays with Tawana, or you can listen to the replay here on Facebook Live. Whichever way, would love for beloveds to join in to build community, because I can't build community by myself. And it's because of community that I am here. It's because of community that I am thriving. It is because of community that I am somewhat sane. It is because of community that when my tear-stained pillows are soaking wet from tears, that I get up the next day with a semblance of gratitude, with more than a semblance, with gratitude, full stop. Because when we focus on gratitude, we focus on the things that we have versus the things that we don't have. Like, I can get up in the morning and have a litany of things that I don't have, or that I have experienced harm, that I have caused harm that has been done to me. I can focus on all of that, and instead I get up with a semblance of gratitude amid my situation or circumstance. The gratitude of breath, the gratitude of another day, whatever that looks like for you. So we're going to chop it up a bit and talk about Onward, because this is the last day of 2024. And, many people use these days as like milestones or a way to encourage themselves to take the next step or to start something new, whether it's exercise, write that book, meditate, call family members, remember, reflect, be grateful, whatever it is. And I'm not mad at that. That is, I do it, whether it's a Monday or the first day of the month or the last day of the old year going into the new. So just a quick, brief history about New Year's Eve. It in the past, before, for us, for African Americans, for Black people, Black beloveds, it was generally just known as like the old year, like through celebration, dance, and then our culture incorporated our ethnic prowess, the things, whether the food we eat. Those black eyed peas. I love all these posts talking about, yeah, y'all trying to come at us about witchcraft and meditation and calling on the ancestors, but I bet y'all ran out and got those black eyed peas. I bet y'all doing laundry. I bet y'all not bringing an old broom into the new year. Come on, somebody. So we're going to talk about judgment and curiosity in a minute, but so it was called the old year, and then in 1863, right? Lincoln, what the people who were enslaved were waiting for Lincoln to free the slaves and free those who were enslaved. And so it became watch night service, and it became very popular and normalized, especially beginning in the Methodist Church. And as you know, with the African Methodist Episcopal Church, we broke away from the Methodist Church and created the AME Church, opening up churches. Our first church, Mother Bethel, right here on the East Coast in Philadelphia. And that was our time. And then each year we remember and we reflect and we use that to then move forward into the next year. We are not enslaved right now in the way that those were in the 1800s. But hey, Tony, I'm glad you made it, beloved. I love you. I'm so glad you're here. So it's a way of remembering and a way for us to reflect on what we've been through this year. And I think the difference for me, this is me, instead of waiting for someone else to grant us whatever it is that we need for the next year, like in 1863, waiting for President Lincoln to free the slaves, we are now at a point where we look at this time like, okay, I have the power, the divine power to decide what my 2025 is going to look like with intention. Now, it doesn't mean that it's not going to come without problems, just because thank God we get from this day into the next day. New year, new life, new opportunities, new breath, new day, new mercies, new grace. And we still may face some challenges, and we have an opportunity to learn from the past challenges and kind of have a Sankofa moment, reach back to bring forth that which is going to work for us in 2025. And Tony, I miss your face so much. This little circle that I see here with your face is just not good enough for me. So I can't wait to see you and hug you. Oh, yes, because baby, 2024 was lifing. I'm speaking for myself, and I'm speaking, inserting other beloveds that are flowing through my mind that has gone through a hell of a 2024. Just hellish. Just, ugh. 2024 could not get the hell up out of here fast enough for me. And in my meditation this morning, I want to offer to us as we move out of 2024 and move into 2025. I want to offer a few things. One, many of you know I lost my mom on this side when I was 23 years old, and my dad when I was 39. and my sister just 2 years ago, my younger sister. And during the holidays, during these times, it becomes very emotional because you wish that you just had their physical presence here. So we intentionally speak the names of those that are no longer with us. And we made this year, my daughter Kaisha, she had us make a video, and we watched old family videos that Uncle I, who is affectionately known as Uncle I, turned our VHS camcorder tapes into DVDs, and then we're going to convert them electronically. But we actually have a computer in DC that has a CD DVD drive, and we watched old movies and just reminisced about those and hearing the voices of those that are no longer here, and the joy that we had, and how we would get together for all of the holidays. So in this moment, the holidays are not as joyful for some as it may be for others. Like, people ask, it's just like asking how you're doing, right? If somebody says, "Hey, how you doing?" They really don't want to hear how you doing. Like, for real. It's usually fine, and you have a great day, whatever. And on the inside, your ass is toe up, just toe up. Just today, I was talking with a friend of mine, and a friend of mine asked me, "How am I doing?" And then, without any effort, the tears just started flowing. Just a plethora of emotions. One, my health is fine. Despite what you see right here, I have a brace on my right arm, which is my dominant arm. And on my left arm, I have my lymphedema sleeve, because I'm not supposed to lift heavy with this arm. So the struggle is real. Anyway, so the tears were flowing, and I was grateful that I got through I'm getting through and moving through the hellish year that I had. And I'm thinking about the beautiful year that I had, the beautiful time that I had with my family, the beautiful time that, we were able to laugh and cry and to watch movies and to eat good food and to do all of those things that I don't take for granted. So one, feeling all the feels. You're going to feel it today, and it's not going to go away tomorrow. Let's just name that, right? Tony said, or the I know how you feel. No. Can I help you with some language here, beloveds? I can only imagine. I know what I felt like if I experienced the same thing. So it's sort of connecting with the person to let them know that they're not alone, and that whatever they're feeling and whatever they're going through, that they have your support. But that whole "I know how you feel," it feels like diminishing, and it's presumptive. And it makes a lot of assumptions. So we're going to get to some things that we need to leave in 2024, and other things that we need to move onward in 2025. Another thing I wanted to share as we close out this year is, some people still do New Year's resolutions. I ain't mad at y'all. And that's another thing. We always got an opinion. Right? Yes, it is infuriating, Tony. And I hope that these words and the love that I'm sending to you right now is just loving on you and easing the frustration just a bit, just to have a moment to know that you are loved. And I cannot imagine what you are going through. So oftentimes we some people do New Year's resolutions, and people always got something to say. Like, social media really got us jacked up, and we just always have something to say. Like, what happened to the days where we can agree to disagree, or actually have a conversation with someone and say, hey, if you're friends, because again, on social media, you have a whole bunch of strangers, possibly, not all of us, and others may have that small in number, like, group that they know personally, or a large number, whatever. They have a number, right? And what that number looks like is going to be different for everybody. So what you share is really up to you. If you want to share all of your business, that's on you. That I can say why I share. I share because these moments, it's not enough of people that look like me that is sharing stories about breast cancer and domestic violence. There's not enough Black women who are inserting their voices into a narrative that often marginalizes us, dehumanizes us, degrades us, gaslights us. The list goes on and on and on. So I will continue to insert myself into this narrative. And if one person is positively impacted, if one person steps back and reflects and thinks and invites some critical thinking and some divine moments and understanding that they are worthy, that they are powerful, that they are divine, that they are co-creators, I'm going to keep telling my story. Storytelling is one of the most powerful tools that we have, which is one of the reasons why things like DEI and affirmative action and all these other are taken away, because it's attached to someone's story. Diversity, equity, inclusion means that I must learn about someone else and their experience in order for me to be able to do the job that we need to do collectively with all of our differences. And because we live in a whitewashed world with white supremacy and racism and sexism and misogyny and misogynoir, they're not trying to hear all that. They're not trying to hear it. So they just want to move it out because white is right. White is the only way. It's okay, I digressed. So as we are moving out of 2024 and into 2025, there are some things that you may decide to do that you need to shift with some level of intention, speaking in the positive and not the negative. Because remember, the universe doesn't recognize positive and negative when you speak. So making the intention or affirmation or resolution, whatever it is, it's I am going to, or I am doing this, or I am going to be intentional about. Not that, oh, I'm not going to do this anymore, or I'm going to stop doing. That's rooted in lack. That's rooted in the past. That is rooted in who you were. Your past does not define you. So it's important for us to use a language that is going to define us moving onward. Moving onward. Tony says we have I can't see. We have an obligatory response, oh, there we go, to escalate and to illuminate the stories of our ancestors and to tell our stories for future generations in order to avoid this whitewashed narrative of history. Absolutely. Let me keep that up there for a moment. Absolutely. We have a responsibility. So what does that look like as we move into 2025? And we must be the ones to tell our own stories. We must be the ones to invite people with a semblance of curiosity versus judgment. Like, don't judge me on how I'm grieving or how long it takes me to grieve. Or don't judge me because you don't know what's going on in my day to day. You see me on this platform and I am speaking from experience, but I don't have to tell you all of my business. I don't have to tell you the details unless we're in a sacred, safe space where I deem it necessary and deem it safe and deem it sacred for me to do so. So we are struggling with this level of discernment. We are struggling with this level of judgment. We are struggling with this level of throwing people away. If someone has made a mistake or a misstep, we are living in a time where forgiveness is few and far in between because some of us think of just ourselves. When we post, we want attention. We want the numbers. We want the likes. We want, we're showing everything. We're telling all our business. And then there are others that use social media to grieve. So to invite community into that space, not for judgment. Oh, why would she post that? Why would he say that? And why don't we enter it? Why we have an opportunity to enter it into that conversation, into a form of curiosity. Beloved, is that helpful for you? Okay, then I support you. And if you say, no, that's the only way I know, then let's talk about other ways that is going to speak life to you and be helpful to you. That's different than saying the judgment piece, right? So I hope that we leave judgment, especially in the circle of Black beloveds. We leave judgment in 2024 and we enter 2025 with a level of intentionality of curiosity. Another thing that I would love for us to leave in 2024 is the assumptions. Because if someone does this, it means that they are this. So we are defining people based on, let me see. Okay, let me give you this example. If someone committed a crime and it's a felony, we now call them felons. We have missed that they are still they're still human beings who made a decision that was against the law. As I'm saying this is clearly it applies to some people and not to others, but let me just get to my basic point. So instead of saying this is a human being who committed a crime, which is a felony, and there are consequences for that. Or I tell y'all, yes, Jan, let's preach this thing. Come on. When I say that I am diagnosed with breast cancer, I learn to be very intentional to not say I have breast cancer. It's giving it too much power and control over me. I have been diagnosed with it, and now I have the power and the opportunity to respond in a way that I am going to seek out every bit of healing and gratitude possible. Yes, cancer sucks. Yes, it sucks that I go to treatment every 3 weeks, like yesterday. Yes, it sucks that there are times when I am fatigued, I am dealing with pain, I am in pain, chemo brain, chemo fog, going to the cardiologist, going to the oncologist, going to my primary care, going to the ear, nose, and throat. I have such a huge team of doctors. Yeah, it sucks. And I am blessed to have a team of doctors. Yeah, we wish that this would never happen. Okay. Let's name that. And it's okay. And now it's here. So now how do we move onward in the midst of whatever it is that we are going through? Tanisha says, I had a professor call trigger warning. I had a professor call a woman a rapee. They always want to label someone, but we don't have to own our situations or diagnosis. We can live without being it. We can live it without being it. Whew, a rapee. My God, today. We are so quick to place the blame on someone when life happens and adverse things are going to happen. And let us put the onus on the person. And I talk about this with domestic violence all the time. Why is it that we, as women, or the one being abused, has to be the one to leave and start all over and start a new life and leave their kids and leave their home and do all of those things? When are we going to hold the perpetrator, the abuser, accountable? I know you did, Tanisha. We lit him up. You will not villainize the victim. We will not be re-victimized. We will not be gaslighted. We will not be diminished. Not today, and not going into 2025. Not at all. So we're going to offer ourselves some grace in 2025, and we're going to feel all the feels, and then find that light, find that way to move onward. We're also going to leave behind judgment, just always having something to say. Like, Pooh, if you don't have nothing nice to say, something to add life to this conversation, even if it's through curiosity, like, be gentle, be compassionate, be empathetic. If you can't offer that in a situation, what is it, Tanisha? The ministry of the hush. Tanisha says, or rather victor, because a survivor makes them victorious. Absolutely. I'm still here because I am victorious. I am victorious, surviving a diagnosis that should have taken me out of here and tried to take me out of here. Should have, meaning according to statistics, not according to our God, but took me out of here and tried to take me out of here several times. And I'm still here. So we are victorious. If you are listening to the sound of my voice, you are victorious. You might be going through, you might be having some hard times. You might you might not be able to see your way out. But my pastor, Reverend Dr. Melva Sampson, said, keep your wick lit, because it will light you up right where you are. And then when you take the next step, you keep that wick lit, it's going to be lit and give you light in that next step. And then the next step. And then the next step. So we keep going, using our light to guide us into a space of healing and wholeness. I posted during treatment on yesterday. I said, I am my last treatment of 2024. I am exiting this year in the process of healing and whole. Both can exist at the same time. I am whole because it is well with my soul. When peace like a river attendeth my way, when sorrows like sea billows roll, whatever my lot, thou hast taught me to say, it is well with my soul. Whatever you are going through or have been through in 2024, whatever you need to leave behind that is not serving you well, whether it's people, attitudes, positions, jobs, community, whatever it is, if it is not serving you well, after they talked and said, oh, I got you, I got your back, I'm going to be there for you, and as soon as you go through a challenge, poof, they disappear. Their loss, let them go. You are moving onward. You are moving onward in new beginnings, new opportunities, new ways of thinking, new ways of feeling, being true to yourself, defining who you are and whose you are. You are moving onward into 2025 as one that can't be fucked with. You are moving into 2025 as one that is going to take care of their business, but not at the hands of doing it for somebody else. Because black women, we've been doing this from day one. Now in 2025, as we are moving in silence, as we are moving stealth, right, in stealth mode, we are going to gather and we are going to talk about what we need to do to change the game, to gain the control that we have, whether it is financial, whether it is communal, whether it is spiritual. In 2025, we have an opportunity, especially with the new regime coming in, and I use that word intentionally. We must be intentional about taking care of ourselves. We must be intentional about what we focus on expands. So if you focus on your intentions of living, if you focus on your intention of loving, if you focus your intention on knowing you are enough and you are worthy and you are divine, if you focus on community, if you focus on family, and that's not always blood, sometimes family is the family we were given and sometimes it's the family we chose. If you focus on bringing your family together and doing great things together and building wealth, building opportunities for better education, to build generational wealth, we can start now, because I truly believe that all the nonsense that has happened in 2024 is teaching us a lesson. Not that God said, okay, we're going to have this bad thing happen to Tawana. No, this bad thing happened. So God is like, okay, God and Tawana, what are we going to do to shift the atmosphere, to move forward, to learn from the past so that we don't make the same, I don't want to necessarily call them mistakes, but the same actions that didn't necessarily grant us what we needed to give us life and life more abundantly. When we move into 2025, we are going to stop paying attention to, I just said that I unsubscribed to The Root. Now, I didn't know that The Root was sold, but this is why it's important to have community, because The Root was sold several years ago, and it is owned and operated by white people with people of color mostly as writers. But when they talked about Beyonce's show, the Beyonce Bowl, and they said, was this show put together just to bring our attention away from Jay-Z? I said, you got to be fucking kidding me. First of all, it's been planned for months. And the show that she put on, that ain't something that you could do in a day. She done gave us a history lesson. She done lifted up those that have been deemed marginalized and not good enough. She has tapped into the ancestors. I mean, the list goes on and on. Everything in that show was done with intention. And Jan, yes, choices of intentionality to make sure that those choices are speaking life into me, my situation, my circumstance, because then it will flow into my family. I cannot pour from an empty cup. I cannot give what I don't have. That means that I must have it first in order for me to do it for my family, my friends, my community. I have to love me in order to teach people how to love me. I am an introvert. It's not to label myself, but it's the personality that I have. I am also, I enjoy alone time. So I'm not one that goes out to like big crowds, and because it takes so much energy out of me. So someone that knows me and loves me and understands hears that won't be offended like other people that don't know me and say, well, why didn't Tawana come? Well, she thinks she's all that. And then we get into that judgment all over again. So knowing myself, know thyself, like Naeem Akbar says, know thyself. Heal thyself. The God in you is waiting for you to open up to receive what the universe has for you. It may not come when you think you want it in your mind, in your carnal mind. Oh, but it's coming. The healing is coming. The comforter is coming. If you haven't received already, because sometimes things are so cluttered in our minds and in our eyes and our ears, we don't see the opportunity to be healed. We don't see the opportunity to dig into abundance instead of lack. We don't see through the fakeness and the people that only are with us when we can do something for them. We don't see all of that. But if we are able to look beyond what we see, I went to see Mufasa with my grandchildren, and Rafiki said, my eyes are closed. My eyes are wide open, just my lids are closed. Keep your eyes open. That's connected to your heart. That's connected to your soul. In 2025, we're going to leave behind the BS. Black beloveds, it is long overdue. What are you going to do Inauguration Day? What are you going to do when these federal programs are taken away? We have got to build communities. We have got to take over our schools. We have got to be advocates in the healthcare system. We have got to stop falling for organizations like Walmart that disbanded their DEI but picked every black superstar to be in their commercials and focus more on, I think it's Target that said, I don't care what's going on in the world, but DEI is DEI-ing, so we are going to keep it. And making sure that we do our research and our homework and not do the clickbait thing. We need to be knowledgeable so that we know how to then respond to what's happening in the world. So think about what you're going to leave behind and then have a Sankofa moment to bring forward that which is giving you life, that is not causing harm, that is loving you and supporting you and merciful and graceful and kind and loving. We don't have to leave everything behind in 2024. And it's okay to use this moment as a pivotal moment for you to shift. What you focus on expands. So let us focus on the goodness. Let us focus on the healing. Let us focus on the opportunities. Let us focus on the love of God and the love of God in us and the love for one another in beloved community. We're moving onward, beloved. We haven't stopped since we hit these shores. When they took us from our home and we hit these shores, we have been going onward ever since. So we may not have been in this situation before, but our ancestors have. So it's time to reach and to be very specific and calling on specific ancestors to help us to get through this one day at a time, one moment at a time, but it's still onward through 2025. So with that, I am grateful and I am honored to still be here, to still be able to do this 169th episode of Tuesdays with Tawana. I am grateful to continue to build community one episode at a time. I am a womanist, and a womanist is centering Black women and Black beloveds, and we are looking to ourselves for our own liberation. And with that, we lift as we climb. So if you are down for the liberation, then come on board and we're going to rock together. If you're not down for the liberation, you could just step aside No love lost. I can love you from a distance because we're called to love, full stop. It doesn't say we're called to love this type of person, that type of, we're called to love. And I wish you well. But moving on, I will only keep those in my circle that are giving me life. And I'm so grateful that I don't have to get rid of anybody because everybody in my life is just so wonderful right now. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful. And remember, gratitude is about focusing on what you have and not focusing on what you don't have. So you got to focus with a level of intentionality. And every day, set your intentions, be grateful, and do what it is that your heart, your body, and soul is calling to do. Yes, Tony, some of us will shed a few people. Absolutely. Ashe. Some of us going to have to shed a lot of people. Some of us may have to shed how we show up in social media. Some of us may have to shed some things that we indulge in. Some of us will have to shed a lot, and it is okay. Because when you shed, right, then new growth happens. New growth happens. Let us think about nature. Nature has so much to teach us. How the trees, survive and thrive in the spring and summer and then release in the fall and winter. So what's your season? How are you going to move forward in 2025 through these seasons with a level of intention and remembering those that are no longer with us, whether they are no longer with us in 2024 physically or prior. Their soul still lives in our hearts, and our souls are still connected. And healing happens. Grief does not have a timeline. And we're not talking about just grief and loss of a person, but there's a lot to grieve in this world, whether it's our freedom, whether it's the election, whether it's, losing a job, leaving a job, the struggle, losing relations. There's a lot to grieve. But grief it's a part of love. It's a part of love. So let's move onward together, beloveds. I love you. I just realized I'm way over time, but I love you. And I just wanted to posit that for you for this last day of 2024, that we move onward together, Black beloveds, and we, with a new language, a new stance, a new way of thinking, a new way of being, a new way of affirming who we are, whose we are, and how amazing and beautiful and brilliant and beloved we are in community. I am because you are, and I am grateful. And we are going to set some amazing intentions and focus on those intentions and not focus on, I couldn't do this and I didn't do. No, you're still loved, beloved. You are still loved. And I am grateful that through all my shit, I am still loved. Those who love me with unconditional positive regard, I am so grateful. So thank you for listening. Thank you for joining. And I pray you well as you move onward into 2025. Let's do the thing, y'all. Onward we go. Peace. Later.